All right, and hello and welcome to the Sports Wall. I'm Donnie. I'm joined by Andrew. Um, let's just get right into it, Andy. Huh?
Yeah, let's go ahead. 10
Breaking
minutes ago.
news.
Yeah, 10 minutes ago, they threw our agenda for this podcast completely into out of whack. Corbin
Yeah,
Burnes traded to the Baltimore Orioles for a couple of prospects and a draft pick. I'll get your go ahead, Don. Give me your thoughts.
I'm just looking at it. I obviously haven't really had a chance to dive into it. I feel a little underwhelmed, but again, you're trading a guy with 1 year left, kind of a rental player. I guess this would be something I'd expect more maybe at the trade deadline than a full season before the.
I mean,
But
I would agree. I don't know anything about the two guys that they are getting. I read they are the fifth and sixth ranked prospects in the Baltimore organization per Keith Law, plus the 34th overall pick in next year's draft. That doesn't sound like a ton for Corbin Burnes.
no,
I mean, you assume Baltimore traded for him with the idea that it's not going to be a 1 year thing, right? You assume they make the trade with the assumption that they're going to sign him. He's going to be there for a long period of time. And for the Brewers, that just doesn't seem like enough, in my opinion. I mean, I fully expected them going back to the end of last season to trade Corbin Burnes. I expected it to happen, I guess maybe in this time frame, but I would have been more. I thought it would have happened, a month or a month and a half ago, something like that.
yeah,
The fact that they traded him doesn't surprise me. I fully expected that, despite everything they were saying. You knew the Brewers were never gonna sign him. Also, you spelled news wrong.
who?
You
Oh yeah,
spelled news wrong. You knew the Brewers were never going to sign him long term, and even if they wanted to, I don't think Corbin ever would have signed long term with the Brewers.
no,
I think last year's arbitration pretty much
yeah,
cemented that
yep,
that wasn't going to happen. So I don't have an issue with them trading him. Hard to say. I mean, like just at first glance, this came across our phones 10 minutes ago.
yep,
At first glance, it's like, yeah, that doesn't fifth and sixth in their organization. I mean, this is the type of guy that should get you fifth and sixth ranked prospects in all of baseball. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, time will tell, right?
yeah,
This feels like it's not as bad as the Hader trade.
no,
Nothing at all for Hader.
yeah.
And that one was more obvious up front. But I mean, I'll look into this guy a little bit, these guys a little bit over the next week or so, and
Yeah.
we'll see. But yeah, hopefully they turn out.
One of the beat writers I follow for the Brewers had a tweet that said Ortiz MLB ready glove first shortstop with good contact rates. Time will tell on how the bat translates to the majors.
Wait, first base and shortstop?
No, a glove first shortstop.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
okay,
then
that makes sense.
and then for DL Hall plus stuff 4-pitch mix used out of the pen last year and could be elite there, but has a shot to start.
Lefty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Good to hear 4 pitches.
Yeah. I gotta pause this for a second. I got a screaming child.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's going. All right, go ahead.
One last thing I will say about Burnes is I'm glad he got traded to Baltimore because I can go see him pitch now. It's only about an hour up the road. And Camden is my favorite park, other than Lambeau.
I was thinking about this watching the Ravens play. I'm like, I kind of like all the Baltimore team. Like, I like the Baltimore Orioles. I like the Baltimore Ravens.
I mean, I don't like them, but I'll go watch Burnes play for sure. Camden is a really cool park. It feels like you're sitting in like 1921. Like it's just a really cool park. My favorite baseball park.
Is that better?
Much
better.
We are joined by Nathan. Nathan, welcome to the show. Do you have anything you want to add to thoughts on the Corbin Burnes trade at all?
Haven't really looked into it that much. Obviously, Ortiz being a shortstop, see if he stays there or if what they do with Adamas, but the lefty seems like he's similar to Ashby. So if
That's
Ashby
what I
takes a
saw.
step forward, then sure, great, grand. But I don't know.
He was hurt this year, wasn't he? Ashby was like pretty much hurt for most of the
It was
year.
a shoulder, the Tommy.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Tommy John, but it could be wrong.
Well, anyways, kind of a shock 2 weeks before spring training, but
I mean, it's just. I mean, it's him getting traded is not a shock, but just the fact that
the timing was the biggest thing.
With that, as much as I hadn't heard anything about them trading him.
Yeah,
recently, like at all. I mean, you guys are in Wisconsin. You guys probably would hear it more than me.
About a month ago, the Orioles name surfaced, but then it died off real quick.
Yeah, well, it's no different, and I think that's a good transition. That's no different than what we're about to talk next. The Packers have a new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, which last night I'm sitting there and all of a sudden I see that come across, and I'll say this. I was underwhelmed at first. Like a Boston College head coach, not exactly the ideal situation for pulling a coach from. But after waking up this morning and then seeing all the things on Twitter about like, he had the NFL experience. He kind of runs the opposite defense that Barry does. Players speak highly of him. And I guess I was pleasantly surprised after being slightly underwhelmed yesterday finding out the news.
I mean, it's a name that hadn't surfaced whatsoever, right?
No.
We had not heard that he had interviewed. So I think that was the biggest, surprise. It was a name that people, quite frankly, didn't know, right? But yeah, the more I have looked into it, and I'm always relatively kind of wait and see type of thing. Like I'm not going to judge him, I'll give him his chance. But yeah, the more I looked into it, the more at least some of the things that I like seem to be things that he's going to do. He's going to, be a lot more aggressive on the back end. The one thing that I said, I think it was last week, was I wanted a defensive coordinator who would make the front seven the focal point of our defense. I don't think we're getting that. But who knows how this guy will be as defensive coordinator in the NFL, right? We've seen him as the coordinator at Ohio State. Hard to judge him in that situation just because Ohio State, in relation to the competition, Ohio State had better players than Green Bay does.
I think that's the hard part about judging anybody coming from college is the talent disparities from time to time.
Yep, but what you can see is what has been reported and players and other coaches have said is that this guy, he was absolutely a candidate for a number of defensive coordinator jobs in the NFL. And for whatever reason, LaFleur managed to get him up there. It sounds like he is a big on preparation. He's one of the best preparers that this was Richard Sherman who said he does some of the best preparation work he had ever seen. Sounds like he does a really good job developing players and getting the most out of players, which I think as far as the Green Bay defense goes, that's going to be the most important thing, because I think to a man, most of them have underachieved for sure relative to their draft status. But I mean, when you look at what some of the flashes from some of those players look like, you want to see that type of thing consistently, and they've been so inconsistent. So if he can get the best out of them and get them to play at a consistent level, that's going to make things a whole lot easier on the offense. We won't have that Aaron Rodgers situation where it feels like the pressure is on him to score every single drive because you just know the defense is going to give it up.
Yeah. Nate?
Underwhelmed, kind of surprised, shocked. Yes, the Ohio State experience is nice. I did see, is it still called the tweet?
Yep.
That's what I call it.
Yeah.
That he wanted to get out of college and back into a football league where it's actually about football and not NIL deals and dealing with the transfer portal. So I guess I haven't seen a ton about him, but he's a player's coach the way it sounds. Hopefully that transitions well. But I have seen that it sounds like a lot more down linemen. How does that affect Rashawn Gary, some of our outside linebackers? Do they just put their hand in the dirt now? Or do we have to transition to more of a 96, 97 Packers DN look with like Sean Jones-esque things like that?
If you get somebody playing like Reggie White, I'm on board.
I'm not saying Reggie, because Reggie's a once in a generation, lifetime type deal, but like a Sean Jones, like your 6'6", 280, 270 type guy.
I mean, that's
like,
Preston Smith.
Yeah, but he's at corner. We need him at corner, though.
Clearly.
He's going to be that nickel guy we need.
We already discussed this. His length is needed on the outside.
But I think it raises some questions as to what they do with the team that they have right now, and even the draft. You know, like every year we mock draft who they're going to take. They just went out of left field for this D coordinator.
I mean, I don't think it's out of left field.
I don't mean out of left field. Like,
it's just because it was never talked about.
Yeah, like there was no mention of this guy whatsoever.
No.
And some Packers picks are like that, but God, like now we're like, are they happy with what they have on defense, or do we use another pick on the defensive side?
Oh, I think for sure. I think that they have 3 picks in the first 2 rounds, right? Yeah, 3 picks in the first 2 rounds.
5 in the top 100, I think.
Remember, this guy's a secondary coach, right? My assumption would be they draft a corner and a safety with 2 of those first 3 picks. That would be a guess. I am not a fan of drafting for need. We've talked about that before, but I just feel like there's a good chance of that. And based on where the Packers picking, it seems like there may be some players that fit from a value point in those spots at 20, what are they, 24, 25, 41, and then what would it be, 57 or something like that. There should be some secondary guys that sort of fit from a value standpoint there. So I would guess that will be a focus, because especially safety, like we'll see. I don't know. I mean, can Stokes stay healthy? I don't think you can count on that. You know, I would
be a candidate to move to safety.
I don't think so. I don't think he is free enough, right? I don't think he moves his hips all that well. He's just a great straight line athlete. I think Savage is probably back on a 1-year deal. That's a conversation for a different time. Let's stick to the D coordinator. I'm sorry. John, go ahead.
There's definitely some personnel things that we'll have to address depending on if we're switching defense, like if we're switching to a 4-3 versus a 3-4, and going more single high press coverage. We're gonna need a playmaking safety, so there's definitely going to be some personnel decisions that need to be made.
I think from the front 7 standpoint, and I mean 4-3, I don't know about that. The biggest change would be if it is 4 guys with their hands on the ground, right? Like the way the Packers play defense this goes back to Patton, this goes back to Dom Capers. They have played that 4-2 type of 4-2-5 type of defense where those 2 edge rushers are rarely hands on the ground. But I think the Packers have the players to do it. I think Kenny Clark could be so disruptive as a straight 4-3 nose tackle. I think Carl Brooks is a good pass rusher as a rookie. I think he could be great in there. I think you can move Van Ness. I think Van Ness could play, inside or outside in that type of situation. He was a 4-3 end at Iowa, right? In a pass rush situation, you can move him inside. Preston, we'll see. I don't know. He's the one that I struggle with there, because I don't know if he would be as strong, with his hand on the ground. But I think they have the personnel to play a pretty strong 4-3, especially against the pass. But can they hold up in the run game? It's going to be the same question.
Yeah, the linebacking core is going to be essential, I think.
Yeah, and linebackers are tough to come by.
Yeah. I will say there was a lot of people were asking like AJ Dillon, was there any overlap between him and AJ Dillon? There wasn't, but there was one. Isaiah McDuffie.
Yep.
He was one overlap player from
and
this.
McDuffie played. I mean, McDuffie
He played pretty well for him.
He had a decent year
Yeah.
this last year. You know, I mean, he didn't set the world on fire, but he wasn't necessarily a liability.
Yeah. There were also a lot of people, or I don't know if I think it might have been Ian Rappaport that was saying that not this year, but maybe next year that he would have been considered for a lot more for coming to the NFL and stuff like that. Whether you know, but I will say there was one because he was on Chip Kelly's staff at San Francisco, and then Chip Kelly left. He was the only one to be retained for Kyle Shanahan, so that's a positive note in a sense. So
I don't know that means anything. I mean, it means he impressed Shanahan enough to stick around. I mean, he inherited Richard Sherman, right? I mean, it's not exactly a difficult to look good when Richard.
Yeah, but Sherman at that point, Sherman was on the back
end of his career for sure. But still, I mean, Sherman on the back end of his career is still a top tier corner.
Did we can? I don't know if you guys listen to Goody's press conference at all?
I did.
Do you guys have any thoughts on it? I just had a couple things that sounds like Jordan Love's about to get paid at some point this offseason.
Not a surprise.
Jair Alexander is not going anywhere.
Also not a surprise.
Aaron Jones is 100% coming back. It'll probably be on a rework. It's got to be on a rework deal, but
I wouldn't say 100%, but I would agree. I thought they needed to bring him back, and it was clear.
He was the guy that made that offense go.
He was the guy that made that offense versatile, right? He was the guy that made defenses respect the run.
Yeah, and then the last thing is Bakhtiari sounds like he's probably not going to get traded. He's probably going to get cut, but
he didn't get the same ringing endorsement. Yeah,
no, but it doesn't sound like it's a pleasant experience he's going through.
Well, I mean, he's been hurt for 3 years. You know? I mean, since the week since the week before the playoff, it was the week before the divisional playoff in 2020, right?
Yeah, the game before Tampa.
Well, that was. I thought it was. Did he?
It was a regular season game, wasn't it? He went down against Detroit, I think.
Oh yeah.
Practice.
I don't. When he got hurt, it doesn't matter. But from what it sounded like in his press conference, he's not even like halfway through the rehab.
He's played in like 3 games since then, and that number's probably wrong, but he hasn't played in much.
No, I don't know.
So I mean, you can't carry him at a $40 million cap number,
especially when you can save $20 million
endorsement. You can save $20 million by just straight cutting him.
Yeah,
I would not be surprised for him to be back. I would just be stunned if he's back on anything other than a completely reworked deal, heavily in playing time incentives.
Yeah. Nathan?
What if Jair doesn't want to come back?
I don't think
he can try to force a trade, but I mean, he's under contract.
I mean, like Mike McKenzie, Walker, guys like that. Like the way he had the last quote I saw from him was thanking Green Bay for his time, whatever. But
I don't think that means anything. I mean, 27 million cap hit, 24 million dead cap. If they cut him, if they get rid of him, I don't
think they're cutting him by any means, but
no,
it'd take one heck of a knock your socks off type deal to part with them. But
actually, I read that wrong. I read Kenny Clark's number for next year. Jair's cap hit is 23.9 for next year. His dead cap is 27.5. So I don't think there's any way that Jair would be gone. And I don't think
he has any leverage.
Well, he doesn't, other than like he can hold out, but for what? He's the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. What's he going to hold out for? Hold out to get traded? That's just a way to get fined a whole lot of money.
Aww.
Wait.
Yeah, I know Nathan's on.
What?
I know. Look at that. Nathan's on.
Holy shit. I didn't think he was alive.
Yeah, so we'll see.
What do you think? What do you think Love's contract ends up at? You can't go top 5, can you? Like,
I think it'll be around 45 a year.
What are the
Cousins
top 5
make?
contracts right now?
Cousins is a free agent.
I know, but what was his deal?
It was a fully guaranteed deal.
Like,
but
I think it was like
30s.
40, fully guaranteed or something like that,
I thought
wasn't
it
it?
was in the 30s. Well, I have Sport Track up. Let me pull up.
But I don't know. I'd say somewhere because
Patrick Mahomes.
What's
Patrick
that?
Mahomes' APY was 52, pretty much 53. Justin Herbert 52.5. Lamar 52. Jalen Hurts 51.
So his contract was 1 year, $35 million.
Who's that?
Cousins.
I'm looking for.
Didn't he initially sign like a 4-year, $80 million
Yeah, it was
deal?
4
It
years
was like
something.
it was like
And that's
3 and
when
90.
Diggs won it out.
But it was fully guaranteed. That was to get him
Yeah.
out of Washington. He sent a fully guaranteed deal with Minnesota, and then I mean it doesn't give the exact contract details here. It just tells what he made year by year. But he's not hurting for money. But no, I mean the floor is Daniel Jones. Like that's the floor, and Daniel Jones is $40 million a year. That's the absolute floor, and I think it'll have to be above that. That's why.
And then you got Kyler Murray at 46.1.
40, I think 40 to 45 is probably most likely because the Packers do have a lot of leverage in that situation if they want to wield it. Because Love is under contract next year for what, $12.5 million or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they could theoretically use the franchise tag 2 years in a row probably and still pay less than $45 million per year either of those years. So I think they definitely have that leverage to move it down, move the number down a little bit. Depends how hard they want to wield it. Obviously, it's very important to have a quarterback in the NFL. So, I mean, you can't risk alienating him. But, yeah, I think I would guess it would be a 4 to 5 year deal in the range of $45 million a year.
Do we see another Patrick Mahomes deal ever? 10 years?
I mean, that was such a bad deal for Patrick. I mean, like Patrick Mahomes,
It really wasn't.
He's not poor. He's not poor in any way, shape, or form. But like he limited his earning power significantly in doing that, especially when he signed it in relation to the way the salary cap is going to grow over the next decade because of the just insane growth in the TV deals.
Yeah. I would assume there's some escalators and stuff in there though too.
Well, that number they reported, as far as I understand it, was like this is the most you can earn.
The 500 mil?
Yeah, whatever it was.
Okay. Well, anyways, well, yeah, we'll see. Do you guys want to recap the games from Sunday? Kansas City versus Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore was pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, the first half they were just terrible. Like they were terrible. They couldn't get off the field. They couldn't do anything offensively. And Lamar just, man, he did not look the way he has all year. He tried to be too much of a I shouldn't say too much of a quarterback. He had a quarterback, but he had so many opportunities to use his legs to break that, to at least keep them in the game, and he did not play the same way that got them to that point. He didn't play the same way that's going to win him the MVP. And Kansas City did just enough, right? I mean, they only scored 17 points, right? So second half, the Baltimore defense did what they had to do to keep them in it. But if you hold the Kansas City Chiefs to 17 points, you need to win that game.
Yeah. No doubt. And Lamar and likely throwing his hand up saying I'm open, triple coverage in the fourth quarter is not exactly, you can't throw that ball though.
I mean, that particular play, it's getting a lot of crap, but that was a pass that could have been completed. Aaron Rodgers completes that pass.
Was there
underthrew him by 3 yards?
Yeah. Was there a penalty on
towards
there?
The back of the end zone. He's not triple covered, right? He's only triple covered if you underthrew the ball.
Yeah. There was also pass interference on that play.
Probably. I think that should have been called.
Yeah. But now what you're going to do. We'll go on to the next one. Lions 49ers.
Nathan, take her away.
Ugh. I used to like the 49ers, but God, Kyle Shanahan just like I give him all the props in the world. Like the dude is good, and he ruins the Packers year every time in the playoffs.
Packers tend to do
And
it themselves.
you know, I was starting to get confident with the Lions. Like, hey, they're up by what was it, 14, 17 or something at one point.
They're up, what, 24 to 7 or 24
Yeah,
they
like
were up
17
24 to
points.
7 at
And,
halftime.
yeah.
but then, geez, like you never count the 49ers out. And I was surprised that, man, the Lions, and I know that we have some Rodgers fans, but the Lions kind of look like the Rodgers led Packers the last couple of years. Like you come out hot in the first half of the playoffs, and then just kind of sink away.
I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't want the Lions to win. I also didn't want the 49ers to win.
I was
But
rooting for
It was
the
like,
I wanted the Lions to not win more. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Just because I
I
can't
wanted
choose.
the Lions to win slightly more, and I'm like, God, this is a bad day when you got to pick between the Niners and the
Team that beat
Lions.
you in the division rival. I can't pick a division rival personally. I just can't do it.
Let's get everybody's thoughts on. Go ahead, Andy. Finish your thought.
Oh no, ask the question. I think I was about to answer.
Oh, I was going to say let's debate the question that everybody's been asking. What are your thoughts on the fourth down?
It's not just on the fourth downs. They were a disaster, but Dan Campbell cost them that game. Period. In my opinion, 100% cost them that game. The first fourth down, I get it. You've been aggressive all year, and I know the analytics said like it was a tiny advantage for going for it, but in that fucking situation with 21 minutes left in the game, you got a chance to go up 3 scores with 21 minutes left in the game. Take that chance, man. The second one I didn't have as big of an issue with, but it was still a chance to tie the game. Right at that point, it was still a chance to tie the game.
Yeah, you got to tie the game there.
And then the touchdown they scored late, that was absolutely. Well, the play before that was the worst play, the absolute worst call of the game, running the football and risking having to take a timeout, which forced you to your only chance to win the game was recover the onside kick. That was absolute disaster. But the play after that, you're down 10 on fourth down. You need 2 scores. You need to kick that field goal. Like that is yes, they scored a touchdown, but if you don't, I mean, you're going to make a 20-yard field goal, like 98% of the time, 99% of the time, whatever that is. That's shorter than the old extra point. But a 2-yard touchdown in one play is, I don't know what the odds are, 50, maybe a little higher than 50, but like you need points in that situation. Take the field goal. It's a long shot anyways. You did everything you could to make this game harder than it had to be and make sure that the 49ers had a chance to win it, or B, that you simply could not win it.
I would the hard part with the first one was the Reynolds drop, right?
Yep.
I have no problem with that one. They executed the play fine. It's just he dropped it. You're gonna have.
I don't care if they executed the play or not. I disagree with the decision.
I would say this though. Why not? If you've been aggressive all year, you're at the 3-yard line, last play of the half. Why not go for it there?
When?
Right before the end of half, they kicked the field goal right at the end of half.
I mean, that's a situation where aggression would have. I mean, you could have been a little bit aggressive.
I would have had a lot less argue or anger, or I shouldn't even say anger. Lot less frustration with them going for it there than at any other of the times.
Yeah, I mean, that one I haven't thought about as much. It was all the ones from with 21 minutes left in the game until the end of the game. Yeah. I just thought Dan will cost them that game.
Nathan, you got anything to add to it?
I mean, you can't compare what a team did the prior game, but if the Green Bay game was telling at all for the Lions about how good the Niners are on fourth down, I think you take the points.
Well, the Lions are built for fourth and short. The Packers are not. Fair.
That's fine and dandy, but the Niners front seven is
it's
wicked good. Like that's tough to beat, and I don't care how built you are for fourth down. Like in playoff football, I think you got to take the points regardless. And I wish Green Bay had taken the points in hindsight, but it is what it is. I understand that Campbell's been aggressive all year, but I think come playoff time when you're trying to like tie the game or cushion a lead, like you've really got to not get overly greedy and just take what comes to you.
To your take the points question though, we took the points back in 2015 and it didn't help us.
Who was 15 again? That was the
Seahawks.
It was 2014
or 2014. We took the points then and it didn't help us.
Please don't talk about that game.
I'm just bringing up the argument, the counterpoint.
We did take the points, and there is like 1,000 things in that game that if any one of them is different, we win that game.
For sure.
That is the most painful. That was I'm at a loss for words. That is the worst I've ever felt after a Packer game.
At halftime, I knew we were going to lose that game.
I've ever experienced.
Yes.
With the ball in Seattle territory, up 19-7 with 4 minutes left in the game, and somehow we fucking lost. The next time Aaron Rodgers touched the ball, we were losing. That's insane.
Yeah. But anyways, so the Super Bowl, got any early predictions? Anything? I don't think there's really much out for betting wise. I know Kansas City. The
line, underdog, and I'm riding.
The line has been moving all over the place.
I'm not betting on Brock Purdy when Patrick Mahomes is the other quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's at 2.5 now. I think the line has moved to 2.5. Yeah, it's been jumping around between 1 and 2.5.
As the money line keeps growing, I will keep putting more money on the Chiefs.
I mean, what was it? Patrick Mahomes, is it 9-1 against the spread in the playoffs? Something like that?
Maybe.
And
I didn't see that stat, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Any prediction? We don't need to go do a prediction yet. Any early thoughts on the?
Don't bet against Holmes.
Yeah.
Wasn't Baltimore the number 1 rated defense in the NFL?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go out on that limb of saying the Niners are going to shut them down, but I don't know. The Chiefs' O-line isn't great, but when you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, like that's just a whole nother element that the Niners have to deal with.
Yeah.
The Chiefs' defense is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably the best defense Patrick Mahomes has ever had. And
I agree for sure.
And who's their defensive coordinator?
Magnola.
He's give him a couple weeks. He's won 5 Super Bowls? There's been into 5 Super Bowls at least?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's going to send a lot of guys at Purdy.
Yeah. So we'll see. Anybody got anything else to add? Anything come across Twitter about the Burnes trade at all?
I mean, I have been sitting here talking to you ever since it came out, so I have nothing I've seen.
I did see that the Wisconsin Badgers are up 43-27 at Nebraska. So
that's nice.
Yeah.
That could be a black hole.
Man, it's number 6 in the country. What the hell is going on there?
Yeah. I mean, they finally have some athletes on the team.
Yeah, I was not prepared for this. Like, I thought they would be better than last year. I was not prepared for them to be and I don't think they're the 6th best team in the country, but I think they're probably pretty safely top 15. If everybody plays well, I think they're probably safely top 15. And I never would have guessed that coming into the year.
Yeah. Well, and we didn't know we had an AJ Storr and
Blackburn, Klesmit.
Klesmit's been a pleasant surprise.
He's been awesome.
Plus 2,500 to win the national championship.
I mean, you can have that bet.
I mean, this is probably the most wide open it's ever been.
Yeah, but still, you confident this team can hold it together for 6 games in a row in the tournament?
I'm more confident in Purdue can't than I can't Wisconsin can.
Just because Purdue can't doesn't mean Arizona can't, or North Carolina.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Like that.
But we own Arizona in the tournament.
Well,
I don't know the way that the regular season game went.
That's regular season. That don't matter.
Frank the Tank no longer trolls that 3-point line.
All right. Well, oops. This has been the Sports Wall. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys. You'll hear from us next week. Thanks.
See ya.